I'm looking up when I see them looking down on me. Staying committed when they all choose not to believe. Welcome, everybody. I go by the name of Mark MK McLaughlin, and you are tuning in to The Great Report. I'm the host, along with my co-host here, George Schwertl. And today we have a special guest. But first, before we begin, this is our very first show. We're kicking it off with a very special guest, and it happens to be
me. I'm George Schwertl. MK is my guy right here, and we're interviewing Jesse Warren's the Southampton Mayor. And Jesse's up for reelection. He's been in office for 4 years, and we're going to interview Jesse and ask him some questions. Jesse, how are you today?
I'm very good. I'm really looking forward to this interview, and I wanted to thank you two, as well as LTV, for inviting me down to the studio today. And I'm happy to talk about all the issues as it relates to Southampton Village, as well as the East End. So it's really great to be with you guys today.
Jesse, thanks for being here. I know we had a little discussion before, and how did you become the mayor? Like, where did this come about?
I'm actually glad you asked that question because when I first got involved, I had no interest in government or politics and no background in it. In fact, I'm a small business owner in Southampton as well as in East Hampton Village. Okay. I own a business called Tenet, which is a fashion boutique. And I've been living in Southampton Village for over 10 years now when I started my business. And I got involved in local government because I saw a lot of things that I wanted to bring change to, and I didn't like the current direction of the village. So when I first started getting involved as a business owner, there was really a large number of vacant storefronts. We had a lake that was one of the most polluted lakes in the entire state of New York, and I'm very big on water quality and on the environment. In addition to that, I saw many McMansions and overdevelopment occurring in the village, while at the same time we were continuing to lose many of our really great residents who were part of our year-round and local population. In addition to that, I saw a budget that was being spent and not really being accounted for. So I really wanted to work on some of those issues to bring some positive change to the village of Southampton and to help reform village government for the better. And I ended up joining the Planning Commission in 2018, and then I ran for mayor in 2019. And obviously, to run for mayor, the most important thing is to get on the ballot. So I got out there, I got my signatures, I got on the ballot, and at that point, at least I had a chance.
And that's great. We started walking.
Started walking.
Started
We met a lot of residents. We told the residents what we wanted to accomplish. And
got your message out there.
Got the message out there. The residents believed in me. They know how hard I've been working, not just when I was first elected, but now. And we're continuing to work on that same platform and to continue to get things done. And to really, what I'd like to do right now is to finish what we've started.
That's great.
But it's been a real honor to be mayor. And that first election was a real close one. And I'm happy I had the opportunity to get in the door and to help serve all of the village residents of Southampton, and we try to look out, again, for everybody.
Now, you said something that the community, it connects with you. You're very happy about that. And I had the privilege of seeing you in action, with the Juneteenth festival, the Martin Luther King birthday breakfast that we had. And I sat back and I watched you, and I seen how charismatic you were, just amazing how the people did connect with you. As a child growing up, was you always like that? Did you always have that talent?
Actually, when I grew up as a kid, I was actually quite shy, believe it or not. You would never know that. But back when I was much younger, I was very studious. I would just spend all my time studying, and I really actually wasn't that outgoing. But we had the really great opportunity to meet at the Martin Luther King birthday celebration.
Yes.
In Southampton Village, and it was one of the most uplifting and positive and fun events that I've been a part of. It was just a great crowd, a great event, and a great celebration, all about positivity, overcoming obstacles, and it was a great opportunity to meet each other, and I'm really happy that we're able to connect that day and to stay in touch.
Well, I love giving people their flowers, and the minute I saw that you're a community leader, I mean, you are the Southampton mayor, but you are definitely a community leader outside of that. So it was very refreshing and nice to see that, and see the people connect with you, like you said.
Thank you. We enjoy connecting with everybody. It's really one of the most important part of the jobs. We're actually talking right before this, and as you know, I don't turn off my phone.
Right.
Whether it's 6 a.m. or midnight, the calls come in and we're there. And one of the most important things about being mayor is to really make sure you're there for each and every resident.
Sure.
And as a retailer, in my store, we like to provide a high level of customer service, and we like to do that same thing for all the village residents. Whatever the issue is, large or small, we like to provide that high level of customer service for the village residents. Whether that's someone calling me up and saying they have a branch that might be dangerous in front of their house and needs to be cut down, or whether that's coming up for a vision for the future of the village. It doesn't matter the project, large or small, but we like to be there for each and everything for every resident. And they know, I believe they can count on me and call me anytime for anything.
That's great. You took your business perspective and you brought it into the mayor's office and working and servicing all the residents in the community. I know I had to ask this question because when I told my wife I was, going to be interviewing the mayor, she says, you got to ask him about Cooper's Beach, her favorite beach. What is that rate? It's like one of the top 10 in America, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. We always consistently score in the top 10. I believe last year we were, number 3. And
Number 3
we have,
in America. Right there, number 3.
and
It's so clean. It's so clean and perfect. My wife's like, Cooper's Beach is it.
well, the reason for that is because first we have really an amazing group of people who help run that beach. Matt Weeks is the Cooper's Beach manager. We have what I think is really an elite group of lifeguards who are there, who make sure the beach is extra safe.
Sure.
We've got great support staff, and these are all local people.
Great team effort.
Great team effort. A lot of students from the high school are working there, who come back after college to work there. We have a Southampton Village Ocean Rescue Department that we recently started and got state recognition for to help keep all of the beaches safe. And on top of that, we have an outstanding Public Works Department who make sure that the beach is raked every day and cleaned every day. We actually just purchased a new beach rake to make sure that all of the beaches are great, but in particular Cooper's. So we really want to make sure that
The
Cooper's
beach rake.
Beach is.
As I can tell, the beach rake when I go home. It's the beach rake. She says, how could this beach be this perfect? It is the beach rake. How many employees do you have in the village?
We've got approximately 100 employees across all various departments, and we have some of the very best employees out there across all the departments. We're fortunate enough to have an amazing police department. Our fire department is second to none. In fact, they just had an amazing save when a business had caught fire and there were no injuries. No loss of life, minimal loss of property. We have the best fire department.
That's firefighters, sure.
And we have, the best EMS department. We have a lot of great volunteers, and we also have a few members of the full-time staff there. Our Public Works Department is phenomenal, that take care of the beaches, the parks, the highways, the buildings. We have our own dispatchers who also do a great job, as well as our team in Village Hall. And our building department is also a great department as well. A lot of people on the East End, regardless of what village or town you live in, are always in the building department, and we try to make sure that we have a good turnaround time in that building department so that people are getting their applications and C of Os.
Sure, that's important. That's important. What do you find some of your biggest challenges with being the mayor?
Well, I love the job. I mean, I love doing the job, and I love serving the people.
I believe you.
Right.
I believe you. You're doing a great job, by the way. I like what I hear.
Thank you, and that's why I do it. I think the biggest challenge that I might have is sometimes, government is different than a business.
Sure.
In a business, if you own a business, you can set an agenda forward and then put that into place. Sometimes in government, there's a lot of bureaucracy, and there's also a board that you have to work within. Now, the mayor is obviously the leader of the village and obviously oversees a lot of the work product. But if I want to get legislation passed or come up with a concept or an idea, that idea has to get through an entire board. And sometimes we get things done, and sometimes some of those ideas that I like, that I think the village residents would like, would sometimes get held up. So government is designed to be slow.
Right.
Obviously, I like to get things done more quickly and more efficiently, but I have learned throughout my 4 years how to use the law on my side, how to use village government, and to work within the framework that I have. And there was a very steep learning curve, but I spent a lot of time meeting and working with other mayors as mentors. I am on the board now of the Suffolk County Village Officials Association. That's a group of all the mayors in Suffolk County. I frequently talk and speak with NICOM, the New York Conference of Mayors, and use their team and their resources to really learn the system and to figure out how we can get things done in the best possible way. So that's the only frustrating thing, is that I wish we can do more in government.
Sure.
But I've learned how to essentially work within the frameworks of government to get things done and get things done, for the benefit of the community.
Mayor Warren, listening to you speak, you sound like you've lived many lives.
Yes.
Though you're very young. You look very young, I should say.
Yes, I think I just look very young at this point.
I would like to know who inspired you, as you came up in the political world. Who inspired you?
That's a great question.
Great question.
I've been fortunate enough to have a number of mentors along the way, whether it's in college and having some professors who taught entrepreneurship, or being able to watch other elected officials around. But really, I had some great mentors in college who taught courses on leadership and entrepreneurship, and I've always held that to be my mantra. If there was something that I wanted to accomplish, I would always dedicate 100% of myself to accomplish those goals. And if you believe something, that is the first step in accomplishing something. And so I've always felt that we can accomplish things. And so I've used that mantra, which I've learned from mentors in the past to keep going.
Well, if you ask me who inspired me, I'd say Hulk Hogan, but that's another story. You mentioned the police force earlier. Now, I got a chance to host the Agawam Juneteenth Festival. I know
Right.
the police force in Southampton was involved with that. Can you give us a little bit? And the Juneteenth Festival consisted of all these singers like myself,
Right.
dancers, poets, a lot of entertainment. Can you give us a little bit of what you have coming up in the world of culture and arts?
Well, there's a few things that we've done. So we have the Peter Marino Foundation, which is a relatively new building, or recently renovated, and that's on the corner of Job's Lane and Main Street. It's a beautiful foundation with some of the world's best artwork. We also have the Southampton Art Center in Southampton Village on Job's Lane, and they have great programming. There's a new executive director, Christina Straussfield, who just joined us actually from Guildhall, and she's doing an excellent job.
Nice.
And then there's the Southampton Cultural Center, which is on Pond Lane, and they also have a different set of programs and events. And then we also have the Farmers Market every week in Agawam Park. But one thing I wanted to mention that we recently accomplished was we created an arts and culture overlay district. And that is using zoning as a tool to improve the village. And it took a while, it took about a year to accomplish. I had to go in front of the Suffolk County Planning Commission. They voted to approve it unanimously. Then we took it to our village board, had a public hearing, and approved it. But the two things that the Arts and Culture District accomplished is, number one, is that it expanded the uses for more arts and culture activities. It allows for more live performances, live music, more arts and culture, some live workspace for artists. And the second and most important thing that it accomplished was that it restricts use of certain buildings 6,000 square feet and larger to arts and culture. And the reason why that's significant is the Peter Marino Foundation, the SAC, and the movie theater all fit that description, which means that the movie theater is now zoned for arts and culture only.
Oh.
It could also be used for food and beverage, for accessory, uses. So the movie theater in Sag Harbor has a rooftop bar, for example. But what you won't see now in Southampton Village anytime due to our new arts and culture district is you won't see a big box retailer go into the movie theater. You will not see luxury condos go into the movie theater. This new zoning legislation really will help save and preserve the movie theater so that we do not lose that from Southampton Village, like some other communities unfortunately have lost their movie theater.
Now I'm curious, me being a singer-songwriter myself, I love what you're talking about. What made you take that initiative?
That's
Do
a
you
great
have like
question.
a musical background yourself, or I'm curious to find out what made you take that initiative.
I think arts and culture is very important in Southampton Village, and we want to continue that. During the pandemic, a lot of galleries and art institutions did move into Southampton to call Southampton Village their home. So that was really part of the inspiration. But most importantly, a good tool in local government is zoning and planning. And we also hired a new director of planning, which we never had in the history of Southampton Village before. And we worked with him as well as our other planners, BFJ Planning, to create this district. One thing that I also led was the update of the village-wide comprehensive master plan, which hadn't been updated in 20 years before I took office. And that is the blueprint and the overall map for the village. And one thing that I told the planners was that it was very important to have this arts and culture overlay district in that master plan, because again, the master plan is the blueprint, and now we can take that blueprint and use other things. One thing that I also had worked on to make sure it was in our comprehensive master plan was installing bike lanes, which we just put into the village. Micro mobility is a trend that we're seeing in many municipalities. Large, small villages and large cities alike are all, working on micro mobility, which is an important, future trend. And so installing bike lanes was a great thing, and I'd like to actually take that a step further and extend some of those bike lanes as well.
Well, I know my dear friend and host of the Great Report, you and him have something in common because he's the superintendent for the highways and Huntington. So when you talk
Yes,
about
we've
streets
done-
and roads,
listen
I'm
to the
sure
streets, the roads,
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
How many people do you have at Highway?
We have between 10 and 15 employees, though everybody is, part of the Public Works Department.
Public Works, sure.
So,
That's the drainage and everything from that point
Right,
on.
exactly.
And,
and Highway Department, we have a new, working foreman, head of the Highway Department,
Sure.
who's done a great job, and he's really helped turn the department around. The Highway Department is now one of our best-run departments.
Sure.
And we have great people working for highways. Everything gets done, whether it's the drainage that gets installed, whether it's, again, the trees that are in order. One of
Potholes.
paving. I mean, really one of the most impressive things, it's a small thing, but if it doesn't get done, it's an issue. But it got done so well, was actually the leaf pickup this fall, where everyone puts their leaves out on the right of way and they get picked up. But the Highway Department and the whole Public Works Department really just did a phenomenal job.
Wow.
And the snow removal. Because we didn't have that this year.
Right.
It's getting warmer and warmer.
Right.
We'll take that. We'll take that. Any environmental issues or anything?
Well, we have really made it our business to go out and get a lot of the water quality money that's available. When I first took office, I told you about Lake Agawam was
Sure.
one of the most polluted in New York State. So the first thing we did is I reached out to the Department of Environmental Conservation, and we worked collaboratively with them to create a Southampton Village and Lake Agawam harmful algae bloom plan. We also created a village-wide water quality plan, which we needed to get more grants.
Sure.
Once we got that done, we then had the ability to get all this grant money. So just in 2022 alone, we received approximately $12 million of clean water grant money. We got a $5 million grant from the federal government, a $5 million grant from the town water quality fund to build the first algae harvester in New York State. That's going to go into effect in 2024, where we extract the toxic algae out of the lake and we remove it. That algae creates a biomass, which then could either be used to create energy or fertilizer or to be taken to a wastewater facility. We also got a $1 million grant from New York State to excavate the parking lot behind Village Hall and Tutto Giorno and Rite Aid, and then to install catch basins and bioswales to prevent the road runoff from getting into Lake Agawam. We've got several hundred thousands of dollars of grant money to build what's called a permeable reactive barrier, which is really a fancy way of saying we're going to stick wood chips in the ground to remove the nitrogen and other chemicals from the groundwater before it gets into the lake. We've got more money for Old Town Pond. We're installing a bioswale there right now on the east side. So when I was first elected, we would get next to no grant money, maybe $100,000, $200,000 a year maximum. We went from getting almost nothing to getting $12 million this past year.
Wow.
Wow, you've been busy.
We've been busy. We've been working on shovel-ready projects. We've been working on getting the grant money. We've been working on getting the permits from the DEC, and we've been working with our village engineers. So a lot of these projects are starting now. Some are going to be occurring in the future.
Sure.
But we definitely, again, made it our business to get that money, because the thing is, if we didn't apply for those grants, they'd be going elsewhere,
Right.
to other villages, towns across the country, the
Right.
state, even the East End. So we wanted to make sure that the village got its fair share
share,
or
sure.
more of some of that grant money. Getting a $5 million federal grant was a real win for us. Those are extremely hard to get. And we got that working in part with our U.S. Congressperson and United States Senator who helped make that a reality for us.
Now, you mentioned the now. You mentioned the now earlier. The election's coming back up.
Right.
Would you mind giving us some of your priorities this term when you win? I'm
Right.
sure you will get in.
Well, it's really important that we continue on some of those platform items. So obviously the continued revitalization of our downtown. We want to make sure that we don't have those vacant storefronts, and we really want to create update the village downtown plan to really make our downtown more walkable, more pedestrian friendly, more beautiful. I'd like to create a landscaping plan and make sure we continue the beautification efforts for the downtown. I've actually reached out both to Martyrs and Chris LaGuardia's landscaping firm to help us, come up with a landscaping plan for the downtown. So that beautification, revitalization efforts in our downtown is critical, but that goes hand in hand with our sewer district. When I was first elected, we did not have a sewer district. We were behind the game, and now we've recently completed a map and plan for our sewer. We have a number of parcels that we're exploring to purchase to build the wastewater infrastructure, and we will not have really as vibrant of a downtown as we could without that sewer. So getting the sewer done is critical, and that's going to be a big push, for the next 2 years. We want to continue the environmental projects, the water quality projects that we spoke about. In addition, there's some climate action projects, including retrofitting Village Hall to make sure that it's energy efficient. We're actually working on that right now with a company called Johnson Controls. That's going to make sure Village Hall is as carbon neutral as possible. We also want to make sure that, again, we continue the day-to-day success of the village, making sure the beaches are pristine, the village is safe, the village employees have the support that they need. And we also have plans for that we'd like to create world-class park and garden that we'd like to create on Pond Lane, on a 12-plus acre parcel, and we'd like to be announcing those plans sooner than later. And I think that will also help transform the entire village downtown.
That's great.
So there's a lot that we want to work on. There's other smaller projects like helping some of the businesses have more outdoor dining. We expanded outdoor dining on some of the sidewalks, but I want to make it easier for businesses to survive in a very tough business environment.
Sure.
And again, really just provide that high level of customer service that I spoke about earlier to the village residents, and continue to basically get things done and to finish what we started at the very beginning. It's been 4 years, and I really would love to have 2 additional years to finish all these great projects.
I know George has a few.
Business model going to the
Right.
to the residents as the mayor. I love that. It's just something that a lot of business people get into the political field, and they bring that with them, and that's great that he did that. I mean, it's, and just I know you said, because I know it's an interview, you're getting married.
That's right.
Yes, and what is that?
I'm getting married on July 8th.
July 8th.
We're going to have I'm looking forward to that. We're looking forward to starting a family.
That's great.
And we're looking, obviously, to continue to call Southampton Village our home. Part of the reason why I serve as mayor is because I do love the village. I'm a business owner, but we're going to be starting a family soon, and I'd love for my family to live in a better place here. And I think that's
It's
one
your
of the reasons
backyard.
why I love doing it, even though it's, oftentimes could be a job that doesn't pay very well. Oftentimes you get criticized, sometimes necessarily, sometimes unnecessarily, but it's worth everything to be able to try to make a better place, for the community.
Mayor Warren, it's a decision you made. And with that being said, I'd like to ask, as a leader in the community,
Right.
I'm sure you had to make quite a few hard decisions.
Right.
Would you mind sharing some of those decisions you had to make that were, you felt like it was the hardest thing you had to do?
Well, it's a great question, and oftentimes when you're in a position, you want to make everyone happy, but sometimes you just have to try your best to do what you think is best for the community. So to answer the question as what was really the hardest decision I had to make, the hardest decision I had to make in some respects was also the easiest, but it was certainly a hard decision, and that was in December of 2022, the Board of Trustees wanted to appoint a second acting chief of police. And I voted against that appointment for a variety of reasons. And that appointment got some criticism, but also some praise, but it was a very tough decision because I had four members of my board were very much for this candidate. And I had to stand alone to make the best decision for the community to vote against that appointment.
And why was that?
The reasons for that vote were quite simple. First, Suffolk County and New York State civil service law states that anyone who wants to become a permanent chief of police must take, pass, and score in the top 3 of the chief of police civil service exam. Now, this candidate had not taken the test, had not passed it yet, and most certainly hadn't scored in the top 3. You cannot be a permanent chief of police, again, without scoring in the top 3 of that exam. And that exam was actually offered to everybody in the entire state with 10 years of experience or more. So you had some of the very best people coming out from our own village, coming out from Southampton Town, East Hampton Town, Riverhead Town, the state police, NYPD, even, I believe, somebody who teaches the test, how to take the test, who I think was the chief of Bedford, took the last one and might have been coming out to take this one too, so he was also going to be taking the test. So I believe that you really needed to pass the test first and score in the top 3, but I believe that given all of the people who were coming out to take this test across the entire state, the chances of this individual, unfortunately, scoring the top 3 were very slim, to likely not going to happen. So that was a very important thing. But there was other reasons why I made that decision. The other thing is that we had really great local candidates who I believed also deserved a fair chance to also take that exam. And I wanted to see the results of that test, particularly the results of some of the local candidates, so that everyone felt heard and that everyone felt like they had a fair chance.
Well, Mayor Warren, I really do appreciate you and sharing that with us on the Gray Report. That's myself and George. George, would you like to close us out?
Just a great interview. I tell you, your world of knowledge. I know a little more about Cooper's Beach now, but it sounds to me like you've done a lot in the village. Very impressive, very impressive. And we wish you the best of luck. Just keep doing what you're doing. I got to tell you, what a great interview.
Thank you
Great
very
job.
much. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be with LTV2. And this is a amazing studio right here over in East Hampton, and it's a great resource. I've been to several events here,
Yes.
whether it's jazz concerts or silent disco.
Yes.
And now to obviously do this show with you guys. So this is really a treasure here over in East Hampton. And I really appreciate you guys asking me to be here.
We just had an event a few weeks ago.
Yeah, a Night of Harmony right here.
And with the West Hampton children,
Yeah,
correct?
we donated funds to the Bridgehampton Child Care Center.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we look forward to having you.
We'll have you back on the show. We'll have you back on the show before you get married. And thanks for being here again.
Thanks
Thank
again.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Mayor Warren.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm looking up when I see them looking down on me. Staying committed when they all choose not to believe. 'Cause the man in the mirror's giving me words to receive. Why not me?